This rabbit hole just keeps getting darker with every new batch of Jeffrey Epstein files that surfaces, and the latest drops from early 2026 have pulled even more unexpected names into the spotlight. One of those names is Gigi Hadid, who finally broke her silence after months of staying completely quiet on the whole situation. The 30-year-old supermodel was mentioned in a December 2015 email exchange that has people talking all over again, and her response on Instagram came only after a fan left a direct comment calling her out for not addressing it. It was the kind of moment that stopped a lot of scrolls in their tracks because it felt raw and personal in a story that usually stays cold and distant. Let's start with exactly what the files show. In that December 3, 2015 email chain, a redacted contact asked Epstein a straightforward question. How did the Hadid sisters become models and make so much money? I don't understand. Epstein's reply was short at first, "You know." The other person followed up with their own guess, writing, "The father paid the agency." Epstein shot that down immediately with a flat no. Then the conversation took a sharp, crude turn. The contact speculated about too many girls giving favors in the industry and asked what the sisters supposedly did in the butt, pressing with, "No, seriously, from who? This is the real question." Epstein responded again with that same chilling line, "Because they follow directions. It's that simple." He added something about, "If they can, why couldn't I?" and the exchange kept going in that direction. The whole thread is right there in the public documents, part of the massive January 30, 2026 DOJ release, and it reads like Epstein inserting himself into conversations about young women's careers in the most unsettling way possible. Reports claim this was his pattern, dropping hints that he could open doors or take credit for success to manipulate people, but there is zero evidence in the files that Gigi or Bella Hadid ever met him, spoke to him, or had any direct contact. Gigi waited until someone commented on one of her recent Instagram posts, basically saying they had to unfollow because she hadn't talked about the files. That comment pushed her to respond publicly for the first time. Her statement was lengthy and direct. She wrote that it made me sick to my stomach. Horrible to read someone you've never met speak about you that way, especially in this context. She called Epstein a monster and said she had never in her life met him. To her, it was obvious in the email chain that he was trying to take responsibility for people's careers in order to manipulate his victims, in this case, whoever was emailing him questions about her career, who never saw the work he claimed he'd get them. She continued by explaining her own background so there would be no confusion. "I didn't comment because I don't want to take away from the stories of real victims of his, but your comment made me realize maybe it's not clear, and it's important to let you know I grew up privileged, yes, but my parents protected me and taught me the value of hard work, the same hard work that got them to this country and gave them careers. We applied for, and my mum brought me herself to meetings with agencies in NYC just before I turned 18, 2 of which she was signed to in her career, Maryland's and Ford. I probably met with 10 agencies, only Maryland's, IMG, and maybe one other agency offered me a contract. I signed to IMG in 2012, and I've worked hard every moment since." She noted that at the time of the email, she would have been around 20 or 21, and being named in those files still disturbs her. She ended strongly, "To be named in those files is disturbing, and I want to state unequivocally that I have never had any affiliation with that disgusting human being. May he rest in." It was a clear, no-nonsense pushback that put the focus back on the actual victims while shutting down any narrative that she owed her career to anything other than her own effort and her family's protection. But that single email exchange, as ugly as it was, is only one small slice of what these files keep revealing. The same document drops are filled with other threads that have people online digging even deeper and asking questions that feel harder to answer. Take Epstein's endless conversations about jerky, for example. The emails go back and forth repeatedly about shipping specific kinds of jerky internationally, using FedEx cold storage, trading recipes between different houses, and making sure it stayed fresh during his travels. He complained about certain textures or flavors, asked people to bring bags of it when they flew, and the discussions read like an obsession. Rumors suggest this talk was code for something far darker, possibly human flesh, with some descriptions online pointing to references that sound disturbingly specific, like baby intestines or mixtures involving breast milk. Here's what's being said in those circles. The way it's described, the international shipping demands, and the constant need for cold storage make it feel like it wasn't ordinary beef jerky at all. Epstein flew with it constantly and had it sent to multiple locations. Whether those interpretations hold up or not, the sheer volume of these messages in the files paints a picture of habits that go way beyond normal snacking, and they leave a lot of room for speculation about what was really being discussed behind the coded language. And then you get to the photos that have resurfaced from the files, the ones that hit on a different level once you connect them. Epstein appears at Disney World multiple times, captured walking around the Magic Kingdom area, in parking lots, and interacting with a very young child. In one set of images, the same little girl is seen later sitting on his lap aboard the Lolita Express. The files provide zero context, no names, no exact dates, no explanations, but the pictures are there, plain as day. Mainstream coverage has long focused on Epstein's victims, who were teenagers, often citing ages like 16, 17, or 18. Yet some accounts from survivors mention even younger children, including a 7-year-old boy in one reported case. These Disney photos raise the same uncomfortable questions all over again. Why was he there with such a young face, and what was the real reason for those trips? The documents just dump the images without answers, which only makes the whole thing feel more unsettling because you're left filling in the blanks yourself. The connections don't stop at modeling or theme parks. The files keep circling back to the Maxwell family and their overlap with big entertainment names. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, built a huge scientific publishing empire after World War II, even though he had no real background in medical or scientific editing. He ended up running one of the largest houses in Britain, and reports claim there were deep intelligence ties involved from the start. That same empire published a lot of the school books many of us grew up with. Rumors have long swirled about how close Robert Maxwell was to Disney leadership. Bob Iger's own son carries the name Robert Maxwell Iger, and the two men were reportedly friendly. On top of that, old Disney Cruise Line manifests and flyers have been pulled up showing stops near Little St. James Island for snorkeling excursions. It's the kind of overlap that makes the entertainment world, publishing, and Epstein's circle start to look like one tangled web. Whether every link is direct or not, the pattern of names and locations keep appearing in the documents, and it's hard to ignore once you see it all laid out together.
What feels especially surreal now is pulling up that old 2001 VH1 segment that has made the rounds again. The show did a full, glowing profile on Epstein as part of The Fabulous Life of Billion-Dollar Wall Street Ballers. They painted him as this brilliant, larger-than-life financier, showing him alongside references to Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey, like it was all just another success story in the world of the rich and famous. Back then, it was presented as entertainment, the kind of segment that made viewers think Epstein was untouchable and admirable. Watching it in 2026, after everything the files have shown, it lands completely differently. It's like the mask was off in plain sight the whole time, and the public was fed a version of the man that ignored every warning sign. The segment sits there as a time capsule of how these stories were sold before the full picture came out. So where does all of this leave us now? The Epstein files touch modeling agencies, Hollywood, theme parks, publishing empires, cruise lines, and elite circles that seem to keep protecting their own no matter what surfaces. Gigi Hadid stepping forward with her statement puts the spotlight exactly where it belongs, on the real victims, and on the fact that Epstein tried to claim credit for careers he had nothing to do with, all while speaking about people in the most degrading terms. She made it clear her success came from hard work, family support, and legitimate agency meetings, not from any hidden favors or connections to someone like him. Yet the documents keep revealing more layers, and the questions keep piling up. What else is still buried in the millions of pages that haven't been fully digested? Who else had their name dropped in similar emails, and how many more stories like Gigi's are waiting to be told? The rabbit hole isn't closing. If anything, every new release makes it feel like we've only scratched the surface of how deep these connections really went. The files are out there for anyone to read, and they keep forcing us to look at the entertainment world, the modeling industry, and the people who move in those elite spaces with fresh eyes. Whether it leads to more answers or just more questions, one thing is certain: this story is far from over, and the details that keep emerging are the kind that stay with you long after the video ends.